guys, welcome back to another video. So as the title suggests, I am going to be pretty much drawing my most neglected OC, which happens to be my OC Sato. I don't think I've drawn her at all this year, and we're pretty much at the halfway mark of this year anyways, so let's give her some love. And I'm gonna be basically doing a sketch page for her, and I kind of wanted to do more or less like more summary outfits, and I'm treating the sketch page basically as in I'm going to do one larger drawing that's going to be a little bit more finished, and then on the kind of like surrounding her, I'm just going to have a bunch of doodles and probably just color them in and clean them up just a little bit, but I'm not going to do full rendering for any of these, so I'm going to keep them pretty much as just like colored sketches for the most part. So the only reason I kind of thought about the fact that I didn't draw Sato in so long is that I realized that the end of my other sketchbook, I actually drew Akemi quite a bit, and I think from a not like a recent stream, but I have drawn Akemi as well on stream before, so I've definitely drawn obviously Maseki quite a bit and Akemi. I don't know if you guys can hear my humidifier, sometimes it makes like a big like glug 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 noise. Apologies if you can hear that. But basically, I think I haven't drawn Sato at all this year, plus I haven't drawn her at all, I don't think, in my sketchbook prior to my current one, so I feel like she's like my most neglected OC. Koji is kind of like in a similar position as her, so I haven't drawn him as much either, but I have done I think a few doodles plus a gouache painting in my previous sketchbook of Koji, so I bet his artwork is a little bit more recent compared to Sato. So yeah, I'm just gonna be drawing Sato today. So for the large one, I actually wanted to do just like more of like a cutesy pose for her, something a little bit more simple, so kind of just like the, I don't know, you form your hands into like a V shape under your chin, kind of like presenting your head or whatever. It's like, I don't know, I just thought it was cute, and it could show off her nails a little bit. Talking a little bit about Sato's design, I think I gestured to this near the end, so maybe I'll bring it up again, but I kind of have a love-hate relationship with how I do her hair in terms of styling. So I was actually looking at some of my previous artwork of her, and I really like her hair either in a high ponytail, kind of with kind of like more high ponytail, kind of tighter, but then you have like her bangs just loose, and then her hair a little bit more on the wavier side, or like loose curls. And then the other one I like is just her hair completely down and just like more or less not styled at all. And I don't know if it's just because I like drawing them that way and it's just much more easier for me, or the fact that I don't know much about hairstyles, so I feel like I'm very not prepared to draw her in anything cute. So I've drawn her, I think, with 2 or 3 hairstyles here. I'm gonna basically do 4 doodles today, and I'm just wanting to do a little bit of outfits plus a different hairstyle for her, so we can kind of like feel out what exactly do I like about Sato's design, and then what things I'm gonna keep and what things I'm not gonna keep, because I think for the most part Akemi kind of in a safe part, like a safe, what am I saying, a safe state, I guess, where I'm most likely I'm not going to change his design too much. I'm still a little bit iffy about his hair, and I'm not going to change his bangs or anything, or the orientation of his bangs, but I feel like I might want to give him a little bit more floofier hair on the top, maybe, but I don't think I want to go curly, maybe just a little bit of texture. Koji is also kind of like more in a safe state as well, and then obviously Maseki, I have no kind of opinion on changing him at all. He's like my comfort character and I draw him quite easily, so I usually don't mind. But Sato is just, I don't know, I've been flip-flopping quite a bit. Sometimes when I have good drawing days and I really like the drawings, I just like all the drawings I do of Sato or doodles, but then the other days I draw her and I find her hair very tedious. I don't like the outfits that I give her, but for the most part I think outfit probably won't change, so I tend to give her either kind of more like a fitted white top, and this might be like collared, it could be sleeveless, sometimes like accented with a like a bow, like either a black or like a navy color, and then usually I give her a long skirt that's high-waisted, or kind of like those flowy pants that kind of look like a skirt. And it's like kind of like what I had in high school, where you kind of have like a flap of fabric that makes it look more like a skirt, but underneath it's like pants or like shorts. So like for my school we wore skirts at the time, so it just felt more a little bit more easily for you to do things. And I feel like Sato's a little bit more of a practical person who likes to be a little bit more active, so I don't feel like a long skirt can always make that an option. So I feel like bellowy kind of pants that resemble a long skirt kind of fit her personality a little bit more. But yeah, I'm gonna be doing a few other doodles, and just starting off with this one, and I believe I'm just gonna leave her hair down, and I actually really like this one. I think it turned out really cute compared to the other ones that I did today. I think in general, I don't know if it's like my poor time management or it's because it's getting to the point where it's the busier time of the year, at like the halfway point near like the right before summer hits. Just like a lot of things have been happening, and I feel like I'm becoming more and more not wanting to hang out with people. But I'm trying my best to push myself, because my friends and I all agreed basically to commit to like one day to hang out, and if we all can't hang out, we usually do like a weekly call. And to be honest, trying to fit that in my schedule where I'm very comfortable with how things are currently, I'm having a bit of a hard time, just because I feel like I'm behind on so many things that the amount of wiggle room I would allow myself to have in the week is getting shorter and shorter. So I actually haven't been able to sketch in my sketchbook. I haven't really been playing like games as much. A lot of the Genshin update I actually haven't touched, kind of just because I feel like I have zero time at the moment, which kind of sucks. It just feels like I wake up, I do stuff for other people, then go to sleep, and then kind of repeat the cycle. Hopefully that week's kind of over for the most part, and then I can kind of get back into the swing of things, get ahead on things again. So hopefully I can do that, because I'm just getting a little bit tired at the moment. Yeah, but drawing wise, I don't know. I don't know if it's because I've been wanting to sketch in my sketchbook a little bit more that I felt a little bit sketch deprived. I don't know if that makes sense. I didn't really have the urge to really do any finished work, other than, actually, yeah, I just haven't had the kind of like that boost of energy of wanting to finish anything. I have things I want to draw, but nothing to really motivate me to want to do like a full-blown illustration from like start to finish or anything like that. But hopefully when I get back into the swing of things, I will record another start to finish. I also want to do a watercolor piece as well, and kind of just get back into traditional medium once again. And I think that'll help once I get back into my sketchbook, because I actually had a good run of just sketching a few things every so often and just building up a little bit of a habit. But after this week, it completely kind of like dropped off, which kind of makes me a little disappointed. I did sketch like earlier this week, but I don't think it's like enough, because it was just purely thumbnailing basically. You guys probably would have saw it if you watched, I think, Wednesday's video, because I did a bunch of thumbnailing for the pencil crayon drawing for Ike. So to talk a little bit more about this particular sketch that I'm currently working on, so like I said, I kind of wanted to plan out a little bit more of like a summery outfit and kind of play around with her hair a little bit. And I thought it'd be better for me to at least put in one that's at least waist up, so that we can get a little bit more of her torso in, and potentially any of like her hip and below. So we kind of went almost like upper thigh. And like I said, I kind of like putting her in high-waisted skirts and kind of more of a fitted top for the most part. I just like the look of having kind of like a fitted bottom and a loose top, or like a fitted top with a loose bottom. Maybe this is my preference for the most part, because I kind of treat Masaki's outfit very similar too. Same with Akemi. I think the only difference is that Koji, for the most part, wears mostly loose clothing, because I don't know, I love doing like big shapes for him. So his shorts are a little bit more bellowy and they're big and chunky, and then his sweater is also a little bit chunky, or if he wears a vest, it's kind of like puffy, so it's a little bit of those bigger shapes. But for Masaki, for the most part, turtleneck's a little chunky, but then his pants are a little bit more straight cut. And then for Akemi, he has much more like thinner, skinny, tighter jeans, and then more of a bellowy top, but he has like a fitted turtleneck underneath. And then for Sato, I kind of just switch between either like a bellowy top with puffier sleeves and like a tighter maybe bottom, and then sometimes I put more of a tighter top with a more bellowy kind of flowy skirt or something on the bottom because I think it looks cute. I just like the contrast between kind of the tight versus like loose fit for the most part. And because I kind of ran out of room for the doodles here, I'm just putting kind of like a very simple little headshot of her going like, yeah, at the top, just to fill up that space. I was gonna do a close-up of maybe her eyes or something, but I don't know if it will look a little funky with how I positioned it. And while I was doing the sketch page, I did shrink down the larger Sato and the second Sato that I did to be a little bit smaller so we could fit a little bit more onto the kind of spread, because initially in my brain, because I did have a plan that I wanted to do some kind of sketch page for Sato, I did want to have one larger one for sure and at least one waist up-ish kind of look, because like I said, I wanted to include hair and outfit somehow into the spread, so I think this one kind of worked out. But yeah, onto the drawing again. I went ahead and changed the sketch to multiply. I kind of lightened it a little bit, and then I went ahead and changed the background color to be more of a softer blue color. And apologies that the blue won't, actually any of the blues that I use for Sato won't be entirely accurate because my webcam absolutely hates the color, I think like blue and purple, so it's hard for it to pick up the correct color. But at the very end, you'll probably see it a little bit more accurately, hopefully. So to start off with the simple coloring, I'm actually just going to pop in the skin first. I'll do some very generic shading, very softly for pretty much all of them at once. And I'll focus a little bit more on the shadows once we get to a little bit of cleaning up of the sketches plus a little bit of rendering on the larger one. So I probably will leave these quite simple just because the sketches like on the side, I don't really want them to be all competing with the larger one anyways. So I find it kind of fun. And I've been seeing a lot of different kind of sketchbook spreads either recommended on Pinterest and some on, I believe, on YouTube as like YouTube shorts or whatever. And I do like seeing people vary up either the intensities or like the frequency of like how they place things in their sketchbook and stuff. And I do like the look when there's kind of more of like a more rendered piece and then surrounding it is like a bunch of kind of like more messier unfinished pieces. The contrast I just really like, and I find it a little bit more visually interesting too, because if everything is like prim and proper and pristine and like totally finished, I feel like a lot of people will just kind of like gloss over things. I personally, and I know a couple of my friends also think this way, we find sketches a little bit more interesting because we can see a little bit more of that thought process. You can see a little bit more of, I don't know, like kind of like the medium or like building up of their, I don't know how to explain it. But we like for the most part, I feel like a lot of us find sketches a lot more interesting compared to the final work. But I think it also depends on what people consider sketches as well. Some people's sketches are so rough that maybe you and themselves can't understand them, but I think there's like a certain point where there's just something really attractive about sketches. So yeah, I definitely like looking back at my old sketchbooks and just being able to see like this is how I used to sketch versus like this is how I like to like do my tighter lines for some of my pencil drawings and stuff. I just think it's fun. So moving on with the drawing once again, Sato's hair is very similar to the color of what I use for like shading the skin tone for her. So sometimes I feel like it gets a little lost, and that's kind of the reason why I like to keep her clothing not so much in the mid-tone area, especially for her top, because I don't want anything to be competing with her hair color or to be similar value to her hair color. So I like usually giving her just like a pure white top, maybe some navy blue accents, or I don't know how to describe the blue that I usually associate Sato with, it's kind of between kind of a navy color and a darker version of Masaki's color, like a dark turquoise, like a dark, a dark unsaturated teal color and like a navy color, and find kind of like a mid ground between that. Because when I was initially making Sato's character for her, or not character, so I basically planned out Sato just by drawing her, but then I go in and think about color palette a little bit. And it's kind of the same thing how I did for Masaki, but I feel like Masaki's palette kind of shifted a little bit. But for Sato, I kind of played off of Masaki's palette a little bit because I like the contrast between, I guess, more or less browns, yellows, reds, and oranges versus kind of greens, purples, and blues for the most part, and I like having them kind of like complement each other in a nice way. So Masaki is mostly like browns and greens or teals for the most part, so I do like leaning it a little bit more towards kind of like teal because his brown's a little bit more yellowy, so I kind of want to push it towards blue a bit more, but his eye color is just like strictly green. And then for Sato, to kind of keep up with the same color palette-ish thing that I enjoy, I gave her more of like a peachier hair color. It kind of leans a little pink sometimes, depending on how I shade it. And then a lot of her clothing kind of leans towards either like dark blue, but it's kind of pushing a little bit into the green rather than the purple. I know none of her outfits have it here. I think the bottom left skirt is very close to what color I associate Sato's clothing with, other than white. So that's kind of like how I like to pair them. If like for the most part, I think all of my characters, minus I guess Koji's pretty much just primary colors for the most part, and then Akemi also has kind of more of that navy blue, a little bit of that orangey yellowish color palette going on for him because his eyes are a little bit more yellow. And then for his dress shirt, I have it more with orange stripes and stuff. So that's kind of how my brain thinks currently. I would like to branch out and do other color palettes, but I think that'll be a little bit in the future too. And I think I would like to make a character with a little bit of different skin tones so I can incorporate that into the color palette as well. So I'll definitely kind of like slowly inch my way towards that because I feel like I only have like 5 OCs and I don't draw the majority of them. I literally draw Masaki only, so you can kind of tell who's my favorite child at this point. Okay, but we are in pretty much the rendering phase, or the kind of cleaning up phase, I guess like would be the easiest way to describe it. So I merged the color and the sketch together after changing a little bit of the sketch color to match a little bit more softly. So I would alpha lock my sketch, and then using kind of more of a softer brush, I would go over the areas like the face to be a little bit more softer, so more towards like pinks and browns and oranges. And then anywhere for her clothing, I went a little bit cooler so that it matches a little bit better. And then after that, I will merge them. And then for this one in particular, I actually went ahead, made a new layer, clipped it to the merged layer, and set it to multiply so I could deepen some of the shadows a little bit. I just think some of it looked a little bit too flat for my liking, so a little bit of shadow would help at least push some of the areas a little bit further so it doesn't read entirely flat. After that, I merged it, and that's kind of where we are right now. So for kind of like my rendering phase and my cleaning up phase, I'm basically trying to get rid of a lot of the stray lines that are kind of just hanging out from me not erasing it prior, as well as kind of like shifting color slightly. So like a lot of the times in the skin tone, I like to kind of play around with the shadows a little bit. So sometimes I will adjust colors, I will add extra colors into the hair sometimes, I would fix the highlights. Anything that makes it look a little bit more finished in my opinion is kind of what I do in this phase. So even changing the eyes a little bit here and there, making things kind of like pop and stand out. And another thing that I really like to do is that for the kind of like line work for the piece, I like to choose a little bit more darker colors in some areas and then try to kind of like concentrate it in a certain area so that it makes the thing kind of pop. Sometimes I do this like at the jaw of the character where the neck is so that it makes the face stand out. I do this in the corners of places. So for hair, I do it for the corners of the mouth usually. Yeah, it's just kind of like a little bit of habits, but I also like the look of it pretty much. Probably because like also there's a lot of contrast if I do it like that. And for the other sketches, I'm not gonna touch them up too much. I do think the one on the very left looks the most derpy, so I'm going to fix her eyes. I think I fixed her hair just a little bit, and I cleaned up her shirt and her arm and a little bit of her skirt. This one you can see I was fixing kind of like the bust area as well as her arm so that we don't have too many stray lines. And this is kind of what I'm talking about, that I like to darken up the face, kind of like the chin area to the neck to be a little bit darker, just because for me it kind of makes the face stand out a little bit more, and kind of it doesn't make it sink back too much. And it's just kind of like a preference so that I have a little bit of higher contrast to separate the face from the rest of the body so it doesn't get too lost. Another thing is that for the most part I try to darken up the eyes a little bit, because when I decided to color in the sketch lines to make things look a little bit softer, I didn't match the colors correctly for a lot of their eye color, so I wanted to make sure that they look a little bit more clean and they're more of the appropriate color. So I forgot to talk about this. Like I said, Sato's color palette is kind of like derived from Masaki's in a way. Her hair color is kind of more in that warmer toned, similar to how Masaki's is, and then Masaki has a little bit more cooler toned outfit wise. Like, I don't know how to explain it. His shirt and his pants are more towards like greens and blues for the most part. Unless I'm styling him more for winter, sometimes I push into evergreens and browns and a little bit more blacks. But then for Sato, I also made her eyes a darker color compared to Masaki. So Masaki's hair, I would like to say, is a little bit on the darker side compared to his eye color. And then I wanted kind of the opposite for Sato. So Sato's hair is quite light, and I decided to make her eye color kind of like that dark turquoise color that I wanted to... I don't know, I just like associating dark turquoise and like navy with Sato for the most part. And I should have probably addressed this at the very beginning. Sato and Masaki are cousins, which is kind of why I wanted to kind of like link their color palettes a little bit, because initially Masaki has kind of more of a turquoise aesthetic for his top, and I was gonna give her more of turquoise eyes rather than green eyes, but the more I draw on her, I've been slowly pushing it a little bit more blue and a little bit darker, so we're kind of in that area for the most part. But I don't want her eyes to be entirely blue for the most part, because Koji's eyes are more like ultramarine, so I don't want them to have overlap. I like doing, or like keeping all of my OCs color palettes a little bit separate so that they can have more of their own unique color palette for the most part. So I think that's about it. I think I just ranted and just mumbled and grumbled for the entire video. Hope you guys don't mind. And yeah, just for like last finishing touches for Sato, I decided to put a white border. Now, I thought I was gonna only put a white border around the large one so it could stand out a little bit more compared to the rest, but I think I do like the look of the white border around all of them. I just think it looks like really cute. But yeah, I think that's about it. I might leave a little bit of text at the very end. Actually, maybe I'll just stick around. I don't know. I'm feeling a little bit tired. I do have to wake up in like 5 hours, which kind of sucks, but yeah. I'll just stick around for a little bit until we get near to the end of the video, and I'll explain what I was trying to explain without volume. So, this is Sato, and just a few looks of her. One of her more or less normal outfit on the left, and then some other outfits everywhere else. And I was trying to show here is the different looks that I liked Sato in. So the one with the glasses with her hair down, I actually really like. And then the other one that I have right here is her with the high pony, which I think also looks very cute. So I'm considering changing her hairstyle a little bit. Because like you can see here, I do like drawing her with her hair down too. So Yeah, also, hopefully no one questions her bangs. Maybe I'll explain in a different video how I came up with her hairstyle initially. Anyways, but I think that's about it for today's video. I think I'll go through the time lapse both in Procreate and at the end of the video. So yeah, I'll just leave you guys here for now, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye!